We are so pleased to welcome back Jeff Hills from Healthy Appetites in Plymouth. And today we're going to talk about, again, which is something we've talked about before, is CBD. It's a huge discussion point in a lot of people's lives and in a lot of towns. And if you could just to re-educate our audience, what is CBD, what is it from, and what was it originally supposed to be used for?
Well, CBD is something called cannabidiol. Mm-hmm. It's from hemp and several other plants. It's not only from the cannabis plant,
okay,
or the hemp plant, which is essentially the same plant.
Mm-hmm.
It's in chocolate. It's in black pepper. It's in echinacea. Mm-hmm. It's in a lot of other plants. You can actually get CBD derived from other plants. One of the things that people are afraid of in regard to CBD is they don't want to use it because they don't want to have any contact with THC, which is the
element
part
of it that makes you high,
exactly
gives you that euphoria feeling. Okay,
I mean, it's one of those things that almost everyone's heard of. That's
sure.
the part of the cannabis plant that people have heard of, THC. That's mm-hmm. the part that it is psychoactive. It's the part that gets you high.
Yep.
And it's the part you don't want to show up in your blood test,
right,
or your urine test if you're someone who has to drive a truck,
sure,
or you work for somebody who get if you get drug tested.
Yep.
You can get CBD products from echinacea. Mm-hmm. We actually have it from orange peel, mm-hmm. so you can get it from other sources. You don't have to get it from the cannabis plant, so you don't have to have a product that has THC in that.
Okay.
So you can get around that. So that's one less thing to be afraid of in regard to using CBD.
Question, before you go on. So if I was going to purchase CBD pills, or even the liquid, the droplets that you put under your tongue, can I get it with or without THC?
Well, if you're going to get it from us, you're going to get it with the most...
Or any health food store that sells it.
If you're going to get it without a card, so in this
okay.
state, if you're going to get it from
okay.
a dispensary, you're going to get a product derived from cannabis.
Okay.
The one we think of as, pot.
Yep.
That's going to probably contain some THC in it.
Okay.
If you're going to get it from somebody like us, it can only legally contain up to 0.3% THC.
Okay, which is...
And the vast majority of products only will put in 0.03, so
okay.
a tenth of that.
Tiny, it's tiny.
So they're
yeah.
trying really hard to
right.
keep it way below the
right.
legal limit. The reason that they leave any in is that they found that if they take it all out, it doesn't work as well. So we found that the plants, the products that are derived from hemp,
yep.
if you leave the THC in just a little bit,
Tiny
it
bit.
works better
Okay.
than if you isolate it. So you can get products that are referred to as isolates,
okay.
and they will be a product that the CBD has been distilled out of it, mm-hmm. generally turned into a crystal, mm-hmm. and then reconstituted into another product.
Okay.
Full spectrum products have the whole plant.
Okay.
That works better. We find in experiment after experiment, and this is something that finally we can do. There's experimentation, a lot of it going on
right.
on that plant.
Sure.
It was illegal to do studies on that plant up until a short time ago.
Right, and now it isn't. Yeah.
And I think it's going to be the most explored plant ever in short order.
What are people basically? What are the three most common uses for CBD? Why do people want it? Why do they need it?
I can tell you, the two biggest uses are going to be pain and anxiety.
Okay.
So anything involving inflammation.
Yep.
Anything involving anxiety, those are the two big uses. Now, just in our industry in general, those are two really big categories.
Oh, of course.
Treating pain
sure.
and treating stress and anxiety.
Sure.
And CBD is very effective at treating both of those.
Do you build up a tolerance for CBD like you would for a traditional painkiller medication?
I imagine that you might be able to do that to a small extent, mm-hmm. but we haven't seen that
okay.
really in regard to people tend to be able to find an amount that works for them
yep.
and stick with it.
Right. So is this something that you, like if you have arthritis, so it's a constant thing that you take all the time, versus I just had my knee replaced, and it's painful and I don't want to take traditional pain meds. So I would maybe use it for a short-term period of time to help with the pain of the knee until it heals.
You can use it that way.
Either way, right?
You can use it in place of a typical traditional pain reliever. Yeah.
Okay. The FDA. There's a lot of confusion on what is approved, and oftentimes on labels you'll say the FDA has not approved the statements or something about this product. Does the FDA have any say at all in the type of CBD that I could purchase at any health food store or even online?
Absolutely. I mean, they have all the say.
Okay, so define that for me.
I think that the confusion comes when people think that something isn't FDA approved
Yep.
as a drug.
Yep.
So think about FDA. FDA stands for Food and Drug Administration.
Yep.
We're under the food part. So CBD is considered a food supplement
Okay.
or a dietary supplement.
Like a vitamin.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So we fall under that umbrella. There's still a lot of regulation in regard to that. Now, CBD is one of those rare things where not only is it regulated under the food part, it's already approved as a drug. So it has gone through that kind of rigorous sort of experimentation as a drug.
Okay.
And it's also being used as
a food.
As a food.
Okay.
As a food supplement.
So I just heard something recently, and I think you probably have too, that 7 out of 10 of CBDs that you purchase online and you get it, if you test it, it's not what it says it is on the label. What is that, and how is that allowed to happen?
Yeah, well, what we've seen in an audit was that just what you said, 7 out of 10 of the products online don't meet their label claims. Doesn't mean that there's no CBD in there.
Yep.
Just doesn't mean that whatever they're telling you is in there isn't in there.
Okay.
Not in the amounts that they say anyway.
Okay.
The more disturbing thing was that almost half the products didn't have any CBD at all. So
So you think you're buying CBD
and you're not.
pills, and you're not.
And
What are you getting?
And that's really just that's
That's
the function
disturbing.
of the internet. I mean, the internet is the Wild West.
Yeah, it
People are
is.
getting away with just crazy things on
Right,
the internet.
right.
And the FDA just can't possibly keep up with all the small manufacturers. There's thousands of them.
Right.
I mean, I'm last number I saw was that there was 1,500 different manufacturers out there for CBD.
Right. Now, do you have to be approved to be a manufacturer for CBD? Is there a patent process or an approval process?
You have to kind of be working towards that, but
Yeah.
obviously not with,
Obviously not.
with what's going on the internet. No.
Right, right. Okay, so talk about the difference between people that use the droplets and people that use the tablets, and what.
It's really just a preference. It's really just a difference in delivery system. So, I mean, ideally, if you're going to do it, the way to do it is do it as a liquid and do it under your tongue.
Under your tongue, and it goes right into your system immediately.
It gets in better.
Yep.
And once again, there's a lot of experimentation going on now.
Right.
A lot of university studies going on. These companies are no longer these little fly-by-night companies.
Yeah.
Some of the companies we deal with, $100 million companies traded on the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
They're the real deal. So they're doing studies to see what works better.
Okay.
So now we've seen 2 different companies come out with their own individual studies showing that if you put it under your tongue, you get significantly better absorption than if you just swallow it.
Okay. Now I know out there in the world, there's a lot of towns that are now having medical marijuana facilities where you can buy that. They have recreational marijuana facilities in certain towns. Can you get CBD would people go there to get this type of CBD that like a health food store would sell?
No, interestingly, we got to tour one of the dispensaries, and the way we do it in Massachusetts is it's very vertically integrated. You are typically, if you're a dispensary, you grow your own stuff,
Yes.
you process your own stuff,
Yep.
and then you sell your own stuff. People really want the THC stuff. So they're
go to those right.
So they're dedicating most of their space to CBD. They don't want to grow a lot of hemp.
Right. You mean
So-
they're dedicating it to the CBD that has the THC in it?
They're growing plants that are going to be very heavy on THC.
Right,
They're
right.
not spending a lot of space growing plants that don't have any THC, because really you have to kind of grow it with no THC, which is why hemp is a better source
Right.
than the typical plants you'd see in a dispensary.
Yeah.
So they're not dedicating a lot of space. And actually, one of the dispensaries we talked to said, we just send them to you because we
Or
don't
to
want
any
to. We don't
health
want to
food.
exactly,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
anyone like
location,
us.
yeah.
They don't.
Because they don't want to. That's not their
Yeah,
purpose. Their
they're-
purpose is to do the.
Their
It's like a
sales
liquor store. The liquor store doesn't
you
sell
grow
all,
you grow it sells.
non-alcoholic beverages. That would make no
Exactly.
sense.
There you go.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Cautions, warnings, anything that you would put out there about CBD?
It's very safe. This is one of these things. It's not like we talked about FDA-approved drugs. That's kind of a false sense of security, and that's pretty easy to prove. In that, how many drugs have we seen be approved through the whole drug process
Then
and
later
then pulled
on,
off the market?
Oh, sure. Later on, you find out.
The real experiment happens when the drug hits the public.
Yep.
We're all part of it.
Yep.
They like to tell us nothing's proven until that happens.
Right.
It's going to take time.
Sure.
What has been out there longer than cannabis? People have been using it in this country for
yeah.
100 years. I
Exactly.
mean, think about the movie Reefer Madness was done in the 30s.
Yep.
So there was already, talk about it back then.
Right.
It's been around for a long time, and people have been using it forever. No one's ever overdosed on it.
Yep.
In human history, no one has ever overdosed on cannabis. You can't. I think that we're seeing that it's very safe in that the way that it was approved initially was studies done on children.
Oh,
So
with CBD?
we've heard the story. You may have heard the story. It's actually a very famous brand of CBD that is actually named after a little girl who had hundreds of seizures a day. Used CBD, and I think got it down to like 3 seizures a week.
Wow. It could be directly attributed to the use of CBD.
And that's why we have legal CBD. That's why we have legal marijuana. No, not to
Right.
put too fine of a point on it.
Right, no.
That little girl and
It helps.
what happened with
Yeah,
her
yeah.
is what put it on the map.
Yep.
And that's why we kind of continued on this whole path to making it legal.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so CBD, it's certainly not going away. We'll only get more and more information, and
You're not going to be able to get away from it.
So, probably cautionary is know what you're getting, know what you're buying, and buy it from a source that you trust.
That's kind of the takeaway is, don't be afraid of it.
Yep.
It's out there.
Yep.
People are having. I mean, last time we did this video, we did a video on this, and I think 11,000 people saw it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
It's
interest in it.
interesting. It is.
People want to know about it.
Yeah, because in this day and age of you take a pill and everything goes away, that seems to be our MO. But this is something that doesn't seem to offer any side effects, any bad side effects.
We haven't seen any yet. We
So-
haven't seen any real drug
Yeah.
interactions at
I
all.
mean, like you said, time will tell, but it's fascinating, and we'll have you back again and talk about this more, because I'm sure as legislation changes and as studies conclude, you'll have more information. Excellent.
I'm sure that's inevitable.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.